Yo, 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 what is going on, CoD Familia? It is your boy BN, aka Mr. Kingdom Builder, and today I wanted to switch some things up as usual and talk about why it is, because I get questions about this. And though, yes, I was able to get into Server 2, I will often get asked, boss, why have you not leveled up your account? Slash, why have you not continuously leveled up your account, probably more appropriately? And today, I'm going to answer that question and then also kind of expand on a little bit broader of a sense on why it is that players, arguably at any time, may stop playing accounts in general. But as it pertains to Call of Dragons being in the beta stage or early access stage, if you want to dub it as that, with only 4 kingdoms out, there are some pretty obvious inherent reasons for me, and I'm sure might resonate with some of you. So before we dive into everything, as always, if you enjoy the content, make sure you sub, like, ring the notification bell. And of course, if you want to join and be a part of our conversation, hit up the Discord. You can find a link to that in the pinned comment description right down below. So the first thing is that, and I'm, again, just kind of playing this in the background while I talk so you guys have something like a visual. So it's appreciative for the fight constantly going on here at Server 2 to give us a nice little backdrop. So a few things. Number one, probably the most important reason is that, and again, for me, I like to be able to play with an active group more so in doing a project. Unfortunately, it's not enough for me to just come on and play as a member, right? It's just an average player. Maybe for the majority, that is. But for me, being in a situation where I enjoy, let's just say for lack of better words, taking on something that is kind of an R6 type-ish role, right, more in the whole kingdom builder, kingdom manager role, that's what I get enjoyment out of. However, I am in the 0.0000001% of all players because it's such a finite, such a niche group, if you even want to put us in one, for players that enjoy doing that, and then even more than that, only really feel motivated to play when you're doing that. Now, leveling up an account to a certain point where I can experience as much as possible, right? Of course, that goes along with it. I did the same thing when I started playing Infinity Kingdom, and I leveled up an account to a certain point to where I felt I was able to get a good foundational introduction and education to the game. Same thing here for Call of Dragons. Even though, yeah, would it be nice if I kept leveling my account and, was able to have it to where I could, for example, get as many heroes max 60 level. I could get all my buildings to 25, eventually get the account to where I just have max tech and all this stuff. Sure, it could be. Though, for me, it's not as, and I'll say this, if the alliance, right, and this is a few points. The main point is that I'm not doing it. Going to Server 2 for me was always, as much as players that I played with, it was always the idea of, hey, we're just going here to test things out. Sure, some players will stay as they have and are continuously leveling their accounts. But for me, it was always, hey, we're going here to test. My thing is that I really want to play in kind of a proper group, a proper project. And that's essentially what we're working on now, right? So whenever they either release more regions where you can spend money in, and/or around when global release hits, right, that's when we'll be attempting to do our project, and that's what we're recruiting for. So one is I like to be in a proper project, right, that has more than just a few alliances. Two, I'd like to spend a little bit of money on the game. Nothing exorbitant. However, I do think there is some great early value in the spending video that I covered. And so, for me, I'd like to spend a little, if that's $20-$30 or whatnot, that's what I'd like to try and start out and, just do a little bit. Just for me, because it's just more about trying to get best ROI, best max value that I can for whatever I would spend. And so that's number 2. I'd like to be able to do that. Number 3 is that if our alliance, NASTi, did not basically just get, in short, bullied and removed from the map, that also factored a little bit into me just not caring to play my account anymore. And then I would say number 4, and that's obviously, that's to each their own. Some people will, some people will say on one side, hey, that's a part of the game. You can get attacked and things like that. And if you decide that you want to stop playing or you keep playing, it's up to you. However, it is a factor, and it is a real factor. And that's something that I speak a lot about when it comes to how you have good, realistic expectations for how you kind of manage a kingdom, you manage player expectations, and just what will actually happen in reality versus what you think is realistic versus what you may think is unrealistic, right? You might have players on a part of one group, and I've seen this across multiple kingdoms across the genre, where you'll have players or alliances, justify themselves and say, this is a war game, play or don't play. And that's a very kind of in the moment mindset. It's very in the moment. It's very tunnel visioned, because in that immediate moment, in the short term, right, you're the one who's dishing out the bullying or the fighting or the war, the rebellion, the roguish behavior, whatever it may be. And so in that moment, it is fun for you, more likely than not. But once you start looking at the after effects of how those things play out long term, right, if that same pace is kept up, or even if it's just done there in that moment, right, that's cause enough for some people, myself included, at least in this particular scenario, to just not really care about wanting to play or level up the account. And pretty much ever since that happened for me, right, it's been a while now. I mean, especially if you just go back and look at my videos, you can see, right, when I pretty much stopped around here, stopped leveling up. So again, right, to each their own, and it may be different for everyone, but that's just how I view it. Doesn't mean that anyone has to agree or disagree. That's just my viewpoint. So those are the things for me that really factor into why it is that I haven't leveled my account up. Would I like to? Do I think that there's good value in it? Yeah. I would say the last thing is that we just don't know if migration is going to be a thing. We know we have a very good indication that servers are going to merge. There's probably a good indication that up to all 4 of the current kingdoms may merge together as one. Probably at the very least 2 and then 2. And that will be, right, a reason to increase activity and engagement within a kingdom for the player base. However, that's not something, if they don't include migration, where you actually have the ability to leave and go from one server to another, that to me is a big thing. And because of that, I wouldn't want to invest heavily into an account that I'm unable to migrate it to a destination kingdom that I'd like to. Now, I will say this. If they came out and they said, hey, we're going to include migration in, on top of doing the server merging, I would have kept playing the account. I just would have joined another alliance, and I would just be 24/7, 7/11, just 100%ing every day, right? I would. Because there's now value in me knowing that this is a thing. Instead, it's more of, hey, we're kind of preparing for the hope or the idea of migration in this type of singular area of the game that we just don't know at this time if it's going to come out or not. So really, if anything, you're just kind of playing the percentages. Now, the one kind of asterisk here is that I do, however, believe that it is important, if you're able to get access to a game early enough, you should play that account to the fullest, because you will always be at as strong as you can. You'll always be ahead, whether it's free to play, any level of spending, because you consistently keep playing the account. On top of that, it also warrants you the opportunity to get all of those free rewards that they dish out, from bug fixes to patch fixes to maintenance rewards, whatever it may be, right? It's just a bunch of free rewards that you're able to get. So that's usually why, if you're able to get in early enough, you want to keep playing the account. However, if they don't end up ever releasing something for migration, then, and let's say you want to go play with others, you still could. You would just have to kind of start a brand new account over and, enjoy your main playing where you are. It's just, like I said, different strokes for different folks. But however, I do hope that, if anything, that helps to explain, for me, where my passions are, how I view whether or not I want to play an account in this kingdom or not. And I'm sure that may resonate with some of you, and others it may not. And that's okay. I just thought it would be nice for me to give an explanation because I have got the question quite a few times. And I often get the question on, hey, boss, you could join our alliance. I mean, pretty much all the alliances here in Server 2 have offered me kindly and graciously, I should say, and thank you for that, a spot in their alliances to do content and whatnot. I mean, thankfully, the thing for me is I don't want to use a spot in someone's alliance when I'm just not actively playing. I just don't view that as necessarily being fair. Of course, I appreciate the gesture, though. At least so far, I don't feel that I've been impacted in a big way to be able to cover certain pieces of content. Everyone, and I will say this lastly, in Server 2 has been really awesome. I don't want to say like now, but they've really been overall, and more so recently, I should say, helpful and very giving when it comes to notifying me if things are happening in the kingdom, that if I have the ability to get on to cover content. They've provided me with reports for fights, for passes. It has, man. I have to give a big shout out to everyone, right? I mean, the fights and the wars and everything aside, both sides have been really, really contributive. They have been contributing to pieces and areas of content that I'm able to make. So again, the time that I've been here in Server 2, it's been great. I feel like I'm pretty much getting everything and anything that we could get in a kingdom in its entirety, which is nice. And regardless of how I view it overall, being able to cover it as close to as much as possible has been great. And definitely my pleasure. Okay, so I think that's it. That pretty much covers my explanation. Don't really know where else I could go with this. I only had a few points to kind of talk about. So if anything, I'd love to hear. Let me pass the question off to you all. Right, is anything I'm saying resonating with you? Are you the type of person who why would you stop playing an account? What needs to be in place for you to keep playing your account? I'd be curious if you ever played a kingdom builder where regardless if you got in early or you started playing after release, what are some things that factored into you, regardless of how high a level you got the account to, what factored into you just stopping to play that account and either making a new one or joining a group and restarting because you wanted to play with, your friends, but just what happened in the kingdom that just didn't motivate you anymore to be active on the account? I'd really love to hear. So let me know in the comments down below. Be looking forward to those stories. And that's it for me. So as always, until next time, I'll catch you later.